recording and share screen. All right, are you guys all able to see the PowerPoint? Give me a thumbs up if you are. I can see a few thumbs up. There, I got a thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, great, guys. All right, well, this is Homeschool Question Answer. And just a little about me before we get started so you know who I am. And I just wanted to say sorry about my background here. I teach for a company that we teach children English that live in China. And so I have a pretty festive background here. Anyway, so we use a lot of props. But a little about myself. I have 8 kiddos and 1 grandkid. Oh, awesome. Thanks for all those questions. We'll try to get to those, Shannon. Okay, I have been homeschooling since 2012. I started my daughter, when I started, my oldest was in 3rd grade. So I had a 3rd grade, a 1st grade, in kindergarten. That's when I started. So now I've taught every grade from kindergarten all the way up to 10th grade. My oldest, my own biological oldest, is going into 11th grade. And then we have 2 adopted daughters that are now adults. And so that's where I have the grandkid from. Our daughter here, if you can see in the picture, is our daughter. She's Hispanic. She's one that we've adopted. So a few things about me is I have a degree in communications and then a minor in religion. My husband and I are children's pastors. And like I said earlier, I also teach English as a foreign language online since 2017. So that's my fun background. All right, guys, let's jump right into the seminar. Homeschooling. Oh, let's see here. Can I homeschool? So this is one thing I just want to address. Yes, you can homeschool. Let's see if I can, if you guys can mute yourself quick. If you haven't muted yourself, we can hear your background noise. So, yes, you can homeschool. Like some people think that, oh, I'm just not smart enough. I don't have a degree in education. You don't need any of that. So as you'll learn in your homeschooling journey, every curriculum that you buy has a teacher manual. And it tells you exactly what to say. I'm serious. On some of the teacher manuals, it'll open it up and it'll say this. And you'll actually could read the script verbatim if you want to. So no matter where your education level is, it doesn't really matter because you don't have to give your children all your knowledge. Your job as the mom, as a facilitator, as a teacher, is to teach your kids how to get knowledge. So if you can teach them how to get knowledge, they can get knowledge anywhere. It doesn't matter what your knowledge is. You're not capped at your knowledge because your kids are going to be interested in areas you have no idea about. But if you can show them how to get that information, they can learn anything they want. So anybody can homeschool if you can just guide your children on how to learn. There's also online classes. So there's a difference in online classes. There is the public school online classes like K-12. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then there's just online classes that you can take, like Teaching Textbooks has their math programs where you can take them online. Apologia has their science courses online. So there's a lot of different online subjects for areas that you're not strong in. So I love science and I do love biology, but I have 6 kids I'm schooling. I really don't have hours to devote to biology. So I'm going to enroll my kid in an online class so that she can get really good, high quality education in biology and I don't have to stress about it. So there's those resources. There's other free online resources. I don't know if some of you guys have heard about Khan Academy, Easy Peasy Homeschooling. All of those are some free online resources. And another great thing is use other people's knowledge. That's where co-ops are so valuable. You may be super smart in one area and your friend may be super smart in another area, and you guys can just swap kids and teach each other those classes. So use your resources. You don't have to have it all together. All right. So next one. First common question, what should I do first? Okay, some people think, oh, I need to order my curriculum first. Oh, no, I need to set up my classroom first. Oh, I need to decide what I'm going to do first. This is going to shock you guys. That's not the first thing you need to do. None of those are the first thing. The first thing you need to do is make a list of your top 10 goals for homeschooling. If you don't have this, you are just like throwing darts with blindfolds on. You're throwing a dart and hoping you hit the target, not even knowing what your target is. So this is so, so important, guys, that we make a list, because my goals for homeschooling are going to be way different than your goals. Some of my goals for homeschooling is that my children have a heart for the Lord and the things of God. So we have a Bible, we have daily devotions, worship time, prayer time as part of our homeschooling. That may not be one of your goals. So yours is going to look different. One of my homeschooling goals is that my children have great relationships with their other siblings. So part of our homeschooling is that they have to read together. They have reading partners within our family that they read together to build those relationships. So if you don't have your goals, it's going to be hard for you to know what you're aiming for, because each curriculum and each option out there kind of fits different goals. So I know you probably won't have time to do that right now, but do it after this is done, because everything else from this point that we're going to talk about, it's all going to determine on what you're looking for. What are your goals for homeschooling? Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Oh, down here I have legacyhomeschool.com. I wanted to give you guys this resource. I didn't make up this first rule. This actually comes from one of my mentors. Her name is Hepner Legacy, and it's Nancy from Hepner's Legacy. They own a bookstore in Elk River, and she's homeschooled her kids, and she's done lots of talks like this, and that's one thing she says over and over, and I don't know how helpful that was when I first started. So I want you guys just to get this down. This is their website too, if you guys are looking in for curriculum or for more help. All right, next question or thing is, what curriculum should I use? So I started making my own chart, and then I found this chart online, and it's so awesome, and it pretty much covers everything. So this is something that you could take a picture of if you want. I can email you this or messenger you this. It's a homeschool curriculum guide, and your goals will point you to what box you want to look at. If one of your goals is that you want strong academics, you want your kid to go to Yale, or you want your kid to really be strong in the academics, you're going to want to look more at the traditional side or some of the online stuff that's going to have lots of rigorous goals, a rigorous school, okay? Maybe classical education here. This is my father's world. This is one thing that we use. So it's hard to read on here. It says an approach to teaching and learning based on 3 parts. I can't even read what it says. But so wherever your goals are going to help you pick your curriculum, okay? One thing I want to share with you guys, that if you're deciding to homeschool, is try to combine subjects. If you have students that are similar in grades, combine history, combine science. They need individualized language arts. They need individualized reading or language arts, and math and writing, but combine where you can, okay? Because your kids are going to learn science in kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and then in 7th and 8th grade, they have a science program, and in 9th and 10th, they have science. So it's all repetitive. What they get at each level isn't really in stone. And same with history. If you teach your child American history in 1st grade, and then you teach it again in 4th grade, and then all of a sudden in 7th grade, you're teaching American history, and then 9th grade, you're getting American history. They're getting lots of repetitiveness. So it doesn't really matter which grade they're getting exposed to it in, okay? If you guys can see here on the side, I said, remember your 3 R's: writing, arithmetic, and reading. Sorry, my camera thing is covering it here. Let me move it so I can read it for you. So if you focus on these in your primary years, that's the key. Because if you can teach your child how to read, and you can teach your child how to write and how to do math, they can learn anything they want. Everything else is, they'll gain. They will learn the American history. They have to, if they're going to go to college, they have to have that as one of their generals. They're going to learn it, okay? So don't stress about the other subjects. Yes, incorporate them, but make your focus, especially in that primary grades, is getting those 3 things down. Everything else is I don't want to say just fluff, because it's still very important and it's so much fun, but just don't over stress over it. That's what I'm trying to say, is don't over stress over it, because if you do a science experiment 1 day a week, or if you do a science experiment 5 days a week, it's not going to matter. Okay, let's see. I want to see, does anybody have questions on this slide before we move on? Again, I said you guys can message me and I can send this to you, okay?
Hello. Good.
Hey guys, did someone just hop on? If you could go ahead and mute yourself because we can
Where are
hear.
you going?
Oh, I don't know. I can't see here.
Oh, what are you going for?
Jill, I think that's you. I think you got unmuted, Jill. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Jill.
Sorry.
It's okay. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next slide, guys. Guys, I'm sorry that I'm talking kind of fast. I'm really just trying to get through the material for you guys, and then you can rewatch the recording, and then we can have talk time at the end just to chat, okay? Homeschool versus online. That was one of the questions a lot of people ask me is, what's the difference between online versus homeschool? So again, I want that clarification. You can homeschool and still take online courses. It's different than what I'm talking about. The distance education or the K-12 curriculum is what some people talk about it. The difference is homeschool is you're the teacher and you're picking the curriculum. An online school, your student is actually still enrolled in a public school, and there is actually a teacher that's in charge of your child's education, okay? So you can see here, I did some pros and cons, and so homeschooling, the one great thing about homeschooling is you get to individualize your student's level. Not many, you know, when they're in public school, they're just going with whatever the level is. If you could please mute your
You need to
line. I see Galaxy S10. If you could go ahead and mute your line. Sorry, it's not letting me. Usually it lets me mute them. Okay, all right. So especially if like a couple of my kids have reading difficulties, and so I've been able to just specialize and help them move in their reading along at their pace. Even though they're now in upper grades, their reading level isn't there yet, but the reading level is way farther along if I wasn't able to specialize with where they were at each level. And they're still advancing in all the other levels that they're super good at math. They're super good at these other things. And so that's one good thing about homeschool is you can individualize on where your kids are at. Where the online school, you're going to for sure meet your school's regulations. So whatever Minnesota's Common Core is, whatever their regulations are, you're going to accomplish that with your online school. With your homeschool, you get to pick what your requirements are. You don't have to follow the state requirements. You get to pick your own requirements. With homeschool, you pick what kind of curriculum you want. You can pick religious curriculum. You can pick secular curriculum. When you do the online, the public school, it's all going to be secular curriculum. With homeschool, you have a super flexible schedule. You can homeschool when it's convenient for you. If you work during the day, and then you can homeschool at night. If you work in the evenings, you can homeschool in the morning. So you have a flexibility of your schedule, where with online school, there's every program's a little different. So you have to look at each program. But most of them, you still have to log in every day, and you have attendance every day. So there's a flexibility on the time that you accomplish it, but there isn't flexibility on, hey, we're going to be gone today. We're going to get all this work done tomorrow. There's not that flexibility. You still need to log in. They have truancy officers that they'll contact the parents if they're not logging in and completing their homework. So there is some accountability to that too. That's a positive. Another thing with homeschool, you get to pick your own schedules. This year we were gone. I knew we were going to be gone for a week in January, so we had all our work done. And then we had that whole week off without any problem. And we worked ahead. So we were done with all of our history, all of our science in actually April. And then my kids finished up their math and their language arts by the beginning of May. So we had all of May off, and we just loved it, enjoyed the nice weather, and just had a lot of family time. So that's one cool thing about homeschooling. Where the online school, you're on the school's schedule. Whatever their dates are, those are your dates. With homeschooling, you don't have to grade, or you can grade. You get to choose. You don't have to take tests. The only test you have to do is the end of the school year testing, the standardized, which we'll talk about in a bit, but you don't have to do any other tests with the online school. They have tests, they have grades, which can be a pro and a con. You get to know where your kid is at. You don't have to stress about that. Or it can be something negative for your kid if they're struggling and then they feel defeated. So that's really up to each family's preference. Cons about homeschool, it's teacher intensive. You got to do the work. You got to buy the curriculum. You got to read the curriculum. You have to prepare for your kids. There are lots of things you can help your kids become independent with, especially if they're in the older grades. But if you have a kindergartner, a first grader, a second grader, you're teaching them how to read. There's just nothing besides sitting down and teaching them that's going to teach them how to read. Daily practice over and over. So there is teacher intensiveness with that. Where online school, there's, you know, you don't have to, you can check in, you get emails with their work, but you pretty much make sure they're doing it each day, and then you don't have to worry about it. Homeschool, you have to pay all the expenses. You pay everything. The school districts does reimburse you about $80 per child of secular curriculum. Well, most of our curriculum is not secular, and so we don't get a lot of that reimbursement. So it is kind of expensive to homeschool. There are lots of free resources out there, but once you get kind of in a curriculum you like, you'll end up just paying for it because it works for your family. Online school, it's free. The public school has already paid for it, so there's no expense there, which is kind of nice. All right, guys. Just looking and seeing if there's any other questions on this one. If we're on a certain slide, guys, and there's a question that pops up, make sure you type it in the chat box so that I can address it right away and not have to go back through. All right, next question. Everybody's wondering, how do I report that I'm homeschooling? Well, the first step is if your child was in public school already, you have to withdraw them. So you just have to contact your district and say, we're going to homeschool this year. What form do I need to fill out that I'm withdrawing my student? Withdrawing my student. If you haven't even started, let's say you're starting kindergarten, you don't have to withdraw them because you haven't enrolled them. You do have to submit an initial report to the superintendent. Okay, that can be found if you guys are members of the Minnesota Homeschoolers page. There's like a pinned link, I believe it is. So it's there. You can Google it. Hebner Legacy, the website I gave to you earlier, has it. You can contact your school district for it. There's lots of different ways to get it. Sorry, I'm going to pull out. And once you become, once you're established in your school district, every year they'll send you this big packet that they want you to fill out, but all you really need to fill out are these two things and one other form. They send you a whole tree, but you really don't need that whole tree. And you really actually don't have to fill out the form they send. So they fill out this, send you this long form. Okay, you don't have to actually fill it out. The legal standards are less than this that you need to report. And so that's why I hardly use this form. I go on to the link that the Minnesota Homeschoolers page has, and it's just basically, yep, I'm homeschooling, that I have to do now because I've done the initial. But when you do the initial, you have to do a little bit more. You have to say, yep, I'm homeschooling. This is my child's name. This is the date of birth. And then you need to send in a copy of their shot records. If you're not doing shots, you have to send in a conscientious held belief form, which is a little more tricky because you have to fill that out and you have to get it notarized and then sent into your district by October 1st. Okay. One other cool thing, if your child's not 7, you don't have to do anything. If they're in kindergarten, first grade, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to report them until they're 7 years old. So all that paperwork, just throw it away till they're 7 years old. Once they are 7 years old, a couple other things you may want to fill out and you don't have to fill out. If you're wanting reimbursement, there's a blue form. It's called Student Report for AIDS to Non-Public Students. And basically you have to fill out this bottom part. This blue part, this is what qualifies you for the reimbursement, okay? It tells you how many students you have, and that'll tell you how much money you can be reimbursed. And then you have to fill out this form with what you purchased. You have to save your receipts, and they only reimburse new items. And then you fill it out here, send a copy of your receipts, and then you get a check in the mail. So that's pretty much it for what I have to do for reporting. All right, did anyone have questions on that? I don't see any questions on, somebody did have one up here, I think. Maybe not. What are all the forms you need to submit? Okay, yep, so that's what you need. You need your initial report and your shot records. That's all you really need, okay? So those are the two by October 1st. That's your deadline. I actually don't know what happens if you don't do it after October 1st. I never have. So just don't find out. Send it in on time. Next question is end of year testing. So somebody did say that. What standardized testing do I have to administer? Okay, so let me just tell you guys one thing. People get nervous about this end of year testing, but it doesn't have to be nerve wracking. It's really just there. You just do it to prove that you did it. There's nothing else. Like, they won't ever like come and say, oh, you can't homeschool because your child didn't score good on the end of the year testing. It's a guide for you as a teacher to see, oh, my student scored, let me just pick third grade 3.5. So third grade, 5th month last year in reading. And this year he scored fourth grade 4.5. Oh, he went up a whole grade year. Great, he's progressing. But I'll say, oh, he only scored 3.7. He's really struggling in reading. I need to do more reading this year and get this up. So it's really just a tool for homeschool parents. If for some reason your student does have some learning disabilities and you really want help from the school district, you can qualify. You don't have to enroll them into school, but they can qualify for services to go. So they would go to like a special education class maybe twice a week at the public school, and you'll use your end of year testing to help get that approved. So that's one tool you can use. There's a few different ones out there. You can do the Iowa Basics, and that's actually in this big packet. You can order the test through here. I've never done it, so I can't tell you anything about it. I have done Peabody, which is a fun test for kids who have reading issues or like to move around or more. It's one person who's administering the test to your student, and most of the test questions are spoken. So for kids who have a little bit hard time reading, this is great because then they can answer with confidence without struggling over reading. The only part they have to read is actually the reading part. The downfall of that one is that since it's one person administering, you need to pay the administrator. So it's like $45, $50 for each test per student. The other one that we do all the time is called CAT, California Achievement Test, and we get it through Academic Excellence. I love it because it's online. I just order it, my student sits at my kitchen table and takes it. And so some of my kids who need some reading help, I can read the questions to them. I can administer it to them. So that's really nice. A lot of times they have coupon codes, so I pay like $25, sometimes $20, depending on the coupon codes per test. And since I have 4 students testing right now, I like the $100 versus the, let's see, that would be $200. And this is an expense that is reimbursable, so you can submit it to get reimbursed from it. I see a question from Sam. How do you accommodate for advanced students? That's great. It's easy. You just get up to the next level. You don't have to keep them at whatever grade level they are. If they're super advanced, let's say they're in 7th grade, but they're testing into algebra, well, put them in algebra. Don't keep them in 7th grade math. If they're, so you get to just choose wherever level they're at. You can get them harder and more complicated work. So that's pretty easy. Is at 7 the start? So is at 7 the start of the year, or if they turn 7? So it's only at September 1st. If they're at 7 by September 1st, then you have to report them, and then you have to do the testing that year, okay? So if they turn 7 in the mid-year, nope, you're still good for the rest of the year. Okay, awesome. My child went to a charter school. Nope, I think you have to send it to the charter school. You need to withdraw them from the charter school, and then you send in all your information to the school district you live in. Okay, hope that helped, Logan. All right, next questions. What about socialization? It's so funny because when I started homeschooling, that was like the huge thing. What about socialization? How are you going to socialize your kid? I'm telling you, we have so many social events. I have to say no to some because there's just so many opportunities for our kids to interact. And even with COVID and all this stuff going on, we still have so many opportunities to interact. So I just did a whole page here of different things that your kids can socialize with. I know right now, because of COVID, some of these things aren't actually up. Like our co-op that we're a part of, we love so dearly, is not going this year because we have over 100 students. And so 100 students is a little bit harder to maintain. We're not doing the mask rule, and we don't want to follow kids around with the mask rule. So we're not doing our co-op because it's too large. But the smaller home co-ops can still work. So we're just going to downsize and do home co-ops this year and have a few kids in our home at a time. But these are just a few options for your kiddos. The one thing I do want to say is that as a homeschool parent, to try to make it a priority that you're including these in your schedule. Don't get so caught up in the academics that you forget that the social part is really important, okay? You don't have to actually teach your art class. Put them in an art class, then you don't have to teach it, and your kid gets to have the social aspect, and it'll just really lighten the load from you, and it'll really help your kids have a fun experience. And same with sports. I don't teach any sports. I put my kids in sports programs, and they have a lot of fun, and they still learn everything they need to. So just, however your schedule works best, but just try to think of that you don't have to take on everything at home. The more things you can continue outside of your home, the better. Okay, same, we have 10 minutes left. Okay, we're getting to post-secondary. Thank you, Jesse. We're getting there. Next, let's see here. I got to okay it on my other screen. Okay, what about homeschooling through high school? So this is where the post-secondary and the college. Okay, guys, so you don't have to keep record of anything that you really do. Like, you could keep your all you really need, I should say, is your end of year testing. Somebody could come show me what you're doing. And you can show them your schoolwork, you can show them your schedule, but legally, other than that, you don't have to keep a transcript, okay? So you just have to keep a transcript for high school, because if your kids want to go to college, they need a transcript. So it's super easy. It's Word. You can just do it right on Word. You can Google what transcripts look like and copy and paste. It's really easy. And here I put on here, these are the requirements for Minnesota colleges. So this is what you would need in high school. But if your student isn't wanting to attend college, you can choose whatever requirements you want for them to graduate, because you are their principal. So you choose the requirements. And here's the other cool thing about high school, or homeschooling, if you have those advanced students, most of my kids have some of their math credits already done in 7th grade, because they just love math. So they're already got algebra done. That's their high school algebra. They've already got it done in 7th grade. So you can do that with those advanced students. And then also with those advanced students, you can take CLEP and DSST courses. What these are is you just take let's just take American History 1. You study it for a year as you normally would, and then you can take a test. It's called a CLEP, College Level Entrance Practicum or something. And if you pass it, you get 3 college credits for it. And it only costs $100. But the really cool thing is, if you go to this website I put on here, modernstates.org, it's free. You go ahead and you take their course. It's a study course for that. And then you submit your test once you pass, and they reimburse you the $100. So it's free to get college credits. So that's what my 9th and 10th graders are working on. When we're picking what they're working on, we're picking on which CLEP course they're going to try to take and test out of, okay? And then my 11th and 12th grader, so I have an 11th grader, she's doing post-secondary. So that means you go to college for free. She's enrolled for high school, and she's going to go for college. It's all free because it's paid for. In the minutes left, I know that was super fast. I just want to let you guys know just about a few resources, and then we're gonna question answer. If you guys need additional help, okay, there's a few things. Can you guys still hear me? It's saying maybe I can't. Can you? Give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. Jen Gold, I can see your screen. Can you see mine? Yes, okay, perfect. Here's the additional support. There's a Minnesota Homeschoolers Facebook page, which is really a good resource. There's a Minnesota's co-op Facebook page, so it has co-op groups and events. If you're local to the St. Cloud area, we have a group called HEY, Home Educated Youth. It's only $25 a year, and that's where our field trip filter goes through. Anytime somebody's doing a field trip, they have an event, something going on, it goes through HEY, so it's well worth the $25 for me. If you live around Elk River, go to Hepner's Legacy School or Homeschool store. They are so smart. There's so much information, and they will help you pick curriculum. So good. Join a co-op or start a co-op. A co-op is just you. If your friend's doing homeschool and you're doing homeschool, say let's meet on Tuesdays. Okay, just start something that'll help you with this support. And the last thing, guys, if you're still needing support, get a mentor. This is kind of when I first started, it was so scary, and it was just like hit or miss. trying to figure it out. So if you guys want mentorship, that's one thing that I'm offering to everyone. I know so many people are jumping in. So if that's something you're interested in, is getting into a mentorship program, just message me after this, legateministries@gmail.com, and I'm starting that program for, it can be first-time homeschoolers or anybody who just wants support, wants one-on-one time to help pick curriculum, help walk you through filling out the forms and things like that. So if that's something additional that you want, just go ahead and message me after. You can Facebook message me too. All right, let's go back up to some of our questions. All right, up on the top here, I had from Shannon. Okay, we did forms. Do they need, do I need to take them in person? I don't know about the withdrawal form, or if they want you to come in person. They probably have changed things now with the COVID, so I just contact your school district. How long a week should our kids be spending on? Okay, so that's going to depend on you and your goals, okay? Because you're homeschooling, it's not going to be like traditional school. You're not going to need an hour a day per subject. Now, once they're in high school, that is pretty close. Half an hour and 45 minutes per subject is probably pretty close. But elementary ages, we sit down, we start with our Bible study, we read, we sit down, we do reading for history, science, right in our living room. And then we move on to our other subjects. And we spend half an hour on history, science, depending on the day, maybe 45 minutes. And then each language arts, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. It just depends on the child and their level. So as they get older, the time goes up. Okay. Other questions? Progress report. Sorry, I don't have my progress report printed. I don't keep anything but a transcript for high school. So I don't do progress reports for younger ages, just our testing. Online sites, Khan Academy is great. It is Common Core though. So if people are wondering about Khan Academy, it is Common Core, it's teaching Common Core. So if your school program that you've already chose doesn't teach Common Core, it's not gonna support that. So that's one thing you have to know. I've used Khan Academy as support often, but for math, I've had to pull back because I don't teach Common Core with my math program, so I've had to not use it for math. If that helps you guys. Let's see, other questions here. Can you please explain how post-secondary is different from CLEP? Okay, post-secondary, you go to the college itself, or like my daughter's doing it online through St. Cloud Tech, and you can only do that your 11th and 12th grade year. CLEP you can take anytime. You just study for the course, and you go and you apply to take the test, and you take the test and you pass it, you get the credit. So like my daughter has world religion CLEP credit because she took it a year ago and passed it. Okay, and now she's in post-secondary starting here in the fall, here in actually just a couple of weeks. Okay, we have just 2 minutes left. Is there anybody else that has a question that I haven't answered or haven't touched on? I'll also put my email in here. How do you choose a curriculum when there's so many to choose? You know, it is a really tough choice. It helps to be able to look at it, but knowing what your goals are. Okay, so if your goals are really, really high academics, then you're going to look for a curriculum that's really high academics and individualize. If your goal is Christian based, then you're going to look for academics that have a strong Christian base. I'm trying to think of how I really, word of mouth is really how I chose a lot of mine. I seen what other people were doing and I looked into it and I liked it and I kept doing that. So that's going to be a really good source, is if you guys are on these homeschool groups and seeing what other people do and being able to chat with people. If you don't have a group of people you can chat with, get a mentor that can share with you. You can share your goals and they can help you. If you have a chance to go to the Homeschool store in Elk River, she has a ton of the curriculum. So you can hold it in your hand, you can read it, you can look at it and say, is this my personality? Is this my family's personality? Those are some things. Some of these ones, they have samples you can get online, and that helps. I hope that helps. I know it's kind of really a hard choice to make with curriculum, and there's so much out there. That's kind of the best that I can say without going into each individual curriculum right now. That would be a whole thing in itself. I heard your kids lose any IEP with you withdraw. Oh, okay, the IEP. You know what? I have not withdrawn and put them back in, so I'm not really sure about that. I'm sorry, you probably have to call your district, but it probably isn't hard because if you keep doing the end of year testing, that's what you use to get them to get an IEP back anyways. And I don't know for sure how that works with losing them because I know people who homeschool that have an IEP with the district because they get special support through the district too. So. All right, guys, I got to close before they exit us. It's so nice seeing everybody. Please feel free to message me with more questions. And some of you that are struggling with curriculum, message me some of your options and I can tell you about them. All right, guys, bye. Nice talking to you. Let me end this here. I got to exit screen share and end. Sorry. All right, guys, nice